can we do this? Like, let's say they get the guy the guy who played Mr. Feeney. Let's say they get him to be a teacher. Is there any way, just one time, that you could somehow, because he won't be called Mr. Feeney, but is there any way we can somehow work in a Feeney call?
There would have to be. They would have to.
I mean,
like have.
Like, I just want just the guy who played Eric, whose name escapes me at this point, just come in and just all of a sudden it's just like Feeney. Hello there, followers. Welcome to the Nerd Cults, not so secret society dedicated to all things nerdy. What's this, guys? It's only been a week.
Wow.
It's only been a week.
Quick 2 weeks. Wait a minute. It wasn't 2 weeks at all.
Can you believe that Donald Trump is going to war with Mexico now?
Really? Why? Oh,
wow.
Right off the bat.
I think it's because of the time change. All of it. The
It
1
threw
week
everything
thing,
off.
the war with Mexico. Yeah.
I think so too.
We're
I think
doing
that,
this from a bunker in Saskatchewan.
Saskatchewan.
Well, I mean, they probably know that because clearly they're listening from their own bunkers.
Right.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. So in case you guys haven't noticed, this is a episode in between our normal 2-week episodes. We are calling this, fittingly, episodes from the in-between. These will be our kind of special edition episodes where we focus on a singular topic that we really want to talk about. Fitting, our first from the in-between episode is going to be all about Stranger Things Season 2, or Stranger Things 2, if you prefer. What do you guys prefer, actually?
I'm going to call it Stranger Things 2, though.
Okay, how about you, Brock?
Yeah, Stranger Things 2 for me.
Winona Ryder.
All about Winona Ryder. So we'll call it Stranger Things 2. In case you couldn't remember, I am 1/3 of this great team, Tyler Lee.
And I am Brock Parsons. The Demogorgon? No, we're not gonna do names. That's all.
We were going to. You should have warned me, so I could have done it.
What would you be if you picked a name?
You talking to me or
Tyler?
Yeah.
You're the Demogorgon, yeah.
Oh, well, you just said I'm the Demogorgon. I don't.
No, I was saying that Brock.
So
Brock's
a
Demogorgon.
Brock's Demogorgon. I'll be the Mind Flayer.
Oh, that's what I was.
I took all the villains.
That leaves me the Demodog.
You can be the Drow, because you know.
Oh,
you can be Mike's dad.
That's clearly what's gonna. Oh, he's such a villain.
You can definitely be Mike's dad.
Oh man. Yeah,
Some
where
people
is
have very
he?
strong opinions about.
We will definitely get to that. Just so everybody is clear, this is not going to be how we normally are spoiler free with the stuff we talk about. This is a complete spoiler episode for Stranger Things 2. So if you haven't seen any of Stranger Things 2, stop listening, go watch it, come back, listen to this. Actually, if you haven't seen Stranger Things 1, stop listening.
My word.
Well,
Heavens.
We're going to spoil that too, probably.
Heavens.
And if you refuse, I mean...
Don't listen to our podcast. Why don't you watch Stranger Things?
Give us your home address and we will make you watch.
I hate to say it, but I mean, Stranger Things is just a lot better than our podcast, but...
You hate to say that. I'm pretty sure everybody agrees.
Well, no, that's a brave statement.
One day we'll get there, but...
Not too many people would go out on that limb. But Brock, he's brave.
Just really pained me to say it, but
he's a brave man.
Do you guys hear that airplane in the background? That might be from the Upside Down. That's just bit of recording magic right there.
So for anybody who is totally caught up, I want to give just a little bit of backstory on what we got from Stranger Things 2. Obviously, it takes place not about a year, because they do the day countdown thing, which is part of the story when they name how many days it's been. So it's been about a year since 11 totally just decimated the Demogorgon and disappeared herself, or so we thought. So we come in, find out, especially from the end of Stranger Things 1, Will is having what seems to be flashes of the Upside Down. 11 is still around, but it's iffy where she's at. Blah, 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 all that good stuff. Open up Stranger Things 2. Boom.
Boom.
Will, my man, is back.
Will is back.
Will is back.
So I guess that'll be the first thing we talk about. Let's talk about Will actually getting a part in Stranger Things.
He's an actor.
It's about time. Who would have thought?
I know, because
in my head, watching season 1, I was like, I mean, how are you gonna match up like the best kid actors of all time? Like, what happens when Will has to come back? Like, it's not gonna be.
Do you remember the movie Super 8?
Yes.
Man, like ever since then, kids have been killing it as actors.
That started it somehow.
What's going on?
Like, remember
what kind of juice was being served?
Remember when the only good child actors were Dakota Fanning and Haley Joel Osment?
Right. And they were all like kind of creepy and good.
Episode 1.
Really?
One of the best actors of all time.
You could have stuck with the truth and been like, the Harry Potter kids did pretty well.
I was gonna say
they were horrible though. No, my God, it pained me to watch like the first half of that series.
This is something Josh and I have disagreed about all through college, so we're not going to get into that.
Yeah, it's a little off topic.
I admit they got better, but I still think they were good. Josh thinks they were horrible atrocities.
I will say it's a good comparison because that's like one of the first times that we got to have kind of a franchise, almost like a. I mean, obviously we're comparing a series to a movie series, but like we got to see a franchise. We got to see these kids like grow up and not turn into traditional child actors who binge out and.
That is a good point.
Yeah,
and we're getting to see that with Stranger Things over the past 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, we get to see these kids blow up into huge stars, and hopefully they follow that path and not similar child actors' path. But I feel like
my word.
I feel like the industry has learned. I feel like they have a lot of good people around them too. Even just the cast of Stranger Things, like a lot of positive influences. It's not like the '80s where all the influences were just. I'm Harvey Weinstein. I'm gonna.
So speaking of Will having a bigger part, I mean, what did you guys think of it? It was kind of like Brock was saying. I was wondering if he was going to be the weaker link, acting wise, simply because he didn't have much of a part in the first one. And man, did he completely shatter my expectations with this acting.
Killing it. The scene that sticks with me is when he turns around to face the darkness spider thing, and he starts screaming and convulsing. That was like disturbing. Like, my God.
That one. The one that got me was when they were having to make sure that he couldn't tell where they were, so they tied him up in the shed and put the paper and stuff everywhere. And they're all going through telling him at the very beginning, like all three, like Mike, Joyce, and Jonathan are telling him one story, and it keeps zooming in on his face, and he just has this, like, I swear to God, he was just selling this broken look of sadness that he was just trying to like be himself and escape this thing that had control of him. And I remember just thinking, this kid's just killing it right now, and he's not even saying anything. He's just looking at. He's just looking.
So good. That's so good.
I mean, he had me convinced from the beginning, just finally getting to see him interact with the other kids. But I mean, it's kind of the same for me. After he was possessed, so to speak, by the Mind Flayer, getting to see him play kind of two characters at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean, it blew my mind. Just especially the facial expressions, like. His facial expressions would say one thing, and it was really convincing, and then he would convincingly say something else, and I'd be like, oh my God, how is this little kid?
What is it like that? Like, I'm trying to think, because, there were so many moments where he would be able to switch. I think one of my favorites was when he told his mom the bath was too hot, and he's just like, "It's too hot, Mom." She goes in there, she's like, Joyce is like, I can cool it down, but we need to get your body heat up. And then all of a sudden he goes, "No." He likes it. He likes it cold. I was like, holy shit.
This guy's serious.
Yes.
Oh man.
And that was really kind of the first time we got to see a glimpse of what the Mind Flayer would be like. Just kind of how evil he would be.
Yep.
I love
And
the fact
what he's
that
capable of.
they call him a Mind Flayer. D&D is just so great. The references.
D&D is. What I love most about it is clearly the creators of the show, they get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They get it, and it's. I mean, and obviously D&D is not the only thing. Like there was, a lot of the video games in this one. There was like Dig Dug, and
Heck yeah.
what was the opening one they play? I feel like such a terrible video game enthusiast.
What is the Dragon's Lair?
Oh, Dragon Quest. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wait.
You
No,
die.
Dragon Quest.
It's not Dragon Quest?
Yeah, it's Dragon's Lair.
Dragon's Lair,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
I thought it was okay. So yeah, but Dragon's Lair, like I realize all that's in it and stuff, but D&D is just this huge. It was a huge part in the first one. I mean, that's when they start out. They're playing D&D. That's what the Demogorgon's named after. And then in this one, boom! It just comes and it connects right at the end when they finally name the big beast. Where they're like, "Oh, it's collective consciousness."
Yeah.
Boom! Mind Flayer. Yes. And they used a picture from the first monster manual, which obviously for that time that works.
I love the joke. How do you stop it? Well, you get an army of the undead, zombies, brainless.
And Hopper was over there.
It's just a game.
It's bullshit.
Hopper is just the greatest character. I love when Dustin might be my favorite character just because his dialogue, but I love when Hopper says something and he's like, "Oh, the dogs," and Dustin's like, "The Demodogs?" What? The Demodogs, because it's Demogorgon and dogs, and he's like, "How is this important?" And Dustin just goes, Dustin just goes, "It's not. I'm sorry."
Oh my gosh, I loved Hopper's interactions this season. They were some of the best parts. I mean, obviously Hopper and Elle, which I'm sure we'll get into, but
definitely.
I mean, seeing him interact with Mike was like one of my favorite scenes. With
at the end, towards the end,
being incredibly. Yes, Mike was incredibly emotional about the revelation that she wasn't able to talk to him because Hopper was not letting her, and he cries at the end of it. And he's like, "Come here, kid."
He does such a good job of being this he's this tough badass character that, quite frankly, I think could dismantle any human character in the show.
Yeah.
But then there's these times where it's just, oh, you freaking care, don't you? About
well, it's
you care about Joyce, you care about Eleven, you care about Mike, you care about all the kids because you've come to their rescue. I mean,
right?
Yeah, I mean we had Hopper in the first season, and a lot of it was a lot of his character was the audience kind of figuring out who he was, because at first I think you were meant to think who is this douchebag? Why are we even watching this?
Well, he's kind of the audience, the unbelieving,
right? A little bit.
Yeah.
And we eventually come to see, oh hey, this is a good dude. He actually cares about finding Will, and then even further, we find out that his daughter died, and that plays a big part. And so in season 2, that kind of carries over. And we see that not only is he a good dude, he's just extremely has an extreme affinity towards these kids as he gets to know them. And
well, and also making him such a likable character. So how bad did your heart break in the first season when they showed you that his daughter died? Just showing you those scenes of him having to watch.
Not as much as Bob dying.
You know what? We're gonna get to that, and we're gonna have a whole thing on that because we have to.
I'm sure it's his daughter dying is one of the big 3 sad moments, as I would call them, because we have Barbara, we have his daughter, and then we have our dear Bob. But
our dear Bob.
I don't know where I'd rank that stuff, but I think
the cat getting eaten alive is one of my top 3.
That did.
So I want to
really
mention
bummed me out.
That was just
that.
incredible.
That wasn't sad to me.
No, it
That
wasn't sad at all. That
shocked
was
me when it
incredible.
showed it.
That was incredible.
Like
I
when
was
it
like,
showed,
like
when it
whenever I
showed
saw
it
the
eating
blood,
cat.
I was like, I knew it. Oh my God, no!
No, the cat.
And that was a little more graphic than I thought the show was gonna go.
Yeah.
When
that
it
cat
showed
was-
it eating the cat.
Let's just say too that cat was. I mean, he was a good boy.
It was a good boy.
He was a good boy.
Was
Also,
a
it gave
mute-
us one of Dustin's best lines when he knocks him into the cellar and then falls on it. He goes, sorry, Dart, you ate my cat.
Yeah. That was like just one of those moments when I was almost taken out of the show in a good way, because I just remember thinking like like if this were even a well-written horror movie, sometimes you have characters that do things just because they're written that way. And I feel like in a weaker script, he would have like not done that. Just like, oh, he's got to protect Dart no matter what. But no,
evil,
it was like he ate my cat.
Yeah.
He's
Just
dangerous.
like that, he changed his mind like a real person. Weird.
I gotta imprison him.
I did love the ending. Well, it's kind of weird though. Like these animals or creatures have some sort of empathy, because
That's true.
Dart recognizes him at the end, and
Oh, that's sad.
I
That was
know,
sad,
and then he
too.
just has to leave him to die. But like that's interesting when it comes to future episodes too. Is that maybe these things can be reasoned with, or
Yeah, these clearly aren't just mindless creatures. At least
Yeah.
not completely.
right?
Yeah. And I mean, we've seen how. I mean, I don't even know that we saw cleverness necessarily, but I mean, we saw what an adult one can be like in the first season.
Yeah.
I mean, seemingly pretty darn smart, but now knowing that they're capable of like empathy and reading emotions, that actually makes it a little scarier.
A little
I
bit.
kept expecting
Okay.
the dogs to mutate or evolve into one of those.
That
So I
would have
wonder.
been kind of worst case, I think.
Yeah, I think they made it clear they probably killed them all before that happened. That might have been
Yeah.
just they didn't want to reuse the Demogorgon.
Well, I wonder
'cause
if they're
those are from the
different
first one,
species. I assume that they would be the same species, but I wonder if they're different, like dogs and
Yeah.
humans or something. But
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. That'll be
I-
interesting to see. Because if just one of them had mutated fully.
Yeah.
Oh,
Everyone's
I mean,
screwed.
it took so much to get rid of the first one. I mean, that's the impression I got, is that they had, maybe they were like one level away from being fully grown. I think even Dustin was like, if he's not fully grown yet, then he's like almost there now,
right,
which is terrifying.
we got
I love.
like
Oh,
a down low superhero story going on too. We have.
We do.
That's what it feels like anyway. You have Elle,
Oh,
who's
for 11, I see. Yeah.
incredible, but
think-
then you have this new character, 8,
That's fine.
right?
Yep, and I think that's something this season. Obviously, this was a main focal point of the season. We got to have some evolution for 11, because we got her backstory in the first one, or we got kind of her origin story in the first season, and then this one they expanded on with the relationship with Hopper and the mysterious 8,
Definitely.
who is a pretty badass character in herself.
No
Mhm.
doubt.
I like how different she is from 11. Like, I love that contrast where she grew up on the streets instead of in a lab,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
11 grew up in this lab, so she can't even talk that well. She doesn't know a lot of words. And then you
Sure.
have what did they call her? What was her actual name? 8. I can't remember her actual name.
It's
Alright,
only
so none
on
of us
screen
know it.
for one episode, so
Let me see. Yeah.
Well, she was technically in the opening of the first episode
Yeah.
too.
I don't think
But-
they said her name then.
I just
Gosh,
love
what
the
is her-
the contrast of it, where she was raised on the streets, and she's got this killer instinct, where anybody who's wronged her has to die, and that's kind of all it is. And 11, kind of, I guess, because of her naivete, I guess you could say,
Mhm.
still has this, like, she's killed a lot of people. Let's just say that 11 killed a lot of people in the first season.
Yeah, no doubt.
But she still is like, I'm gonna save my friends. Like, that's who I am. And all of these people I care about.
I definitely feel like one important thing that episode 7 did is that earlier in the season we set up this idea that Eleven might not be just kind of a brat, because obviously she didn't have really adults or parents telling her how to act, especially around people. And so there's kind of a fear there that she wouldn't just be a brat. She was going to, especially maybe by the time she hits puberty, run into some problems of just maybe being a villain or just being outright kind of sociopathic. And then I think in episode 7 she meets somebody who did go down that line, who's kind of a I don't even know what chaotic sort of
chaotic good, I would say.
Chaotic good, maybe, yeah. And we see her just killing people that she believes are evil. And she follows through, even though the dude had kids, she was ready to freaking kill that dude.
Or no, she'd be chaotic neutral. We're such nerds.
Sure.
She'd be chaotic neutral because she wasn't doing it for the good of anything. She was doing it because it was for her.
There you go. Yeah, that sounds right. Chaotic neutral. We'll go with that.
A whole D&D podcast on this.
Whole D&D podcast, exactly. But we got to see her have at least enough exposure to number 8. And got to watch her consciously make a decision not to be the sociopath that we may have been worried about. Because I was expecting that, maybe not even in this season. I was like, man, just imagine when she goes through the hormones of being a teenager, just freaking tantrums. And then we got to really see that, and then we saw kind of the worst of it, and we kind of saw a little bit of it get resolved. So that's kind of a cool little thing.
Little thing, yeah.
Yeah, little thing. But yeah, I mean, I loved just how heartwarming it was to see her go back to Hopper at the end.
Well, I think kind of what you said, where Elle was kind of on the verge of maybe being this villain, and then she saw this chaotic neutral, kind of sociopathic version of her, and I think the same thing happened for 8 there at the end, where she was just drowning in this sorrow and this revenge state, and she saw that there's this person who is like her but raised a little bit differently, who can care about other people and can give up this, cannot even care about this road of vengeance because it gets in the way of her protecting her friends.
Yeah.
What year is this set in? 84, right?
84.
83, 84.
I think.
Cool.
84.
If we're wrong, somebody will tell us.
Right, yeah.
I believe it's 84.
Just trying to figure some things out. Because there's so many, I'm trying to think. Okay, so Mike would be the paladin, right? Then you have Will, who'd be the rogue.
They outright.
I found a list. Let's see. We got the party. Let's see, Mike the paladin, Will the cleric, Dustin the bard, Lucas the ranger, 11 the mage. Let's see. We got true set. Well, you're missing the zoomer here.
And Max
list.
is the zoomer. Max is the zoomer.
Zoomer, yeah.
Good
Mad
transition.
Max.
Let's talk about. Let's
Talk
go
about
right
the
into
new characters.
that.
Yeah.
There was quite a few new characters in Stranger Things 2, and I think they were all pretty awesome.
I loved all the new characters.
There's our new characters were Max and Billy, and we had Bob. Oh, Bob, and of course, Dr. Owens. Let's talk about Max. You brought her up. She was the Zoomer of the group, as she put it.
Zoomer of the group. She's so freaking
Max.
cool.
She's so cool.
What about Billy's abs? Those are
Billy's abs.
Yeah.
Or as I knew him before this, the Red Power Ranger.
You're right.
He was
make the connection.
He was the Red Power Ranger in the reboot, which I don't care what anybody says. I loved that movie. It was so fun.
Okay.
I haven't seen it yet.
It's super fun. You should watch it. It's not
good.
An award-winning movie, but it's
sure.
It's not bad. I'll say that. It's not bad. But anyway, we had Billy and Max.
Yeah, I loved Billy. I loved Max. Billy's the douchebag. So Max is great. I loved seeing. I feel like I know that character somehow. She's just the cool skater chick, but it turns out she had even more cool crap going on than we even thought. So.
Well, I love that she just didn't take crap from these boys, but at the same time, really wanted to be within their group, really wanted to be their friend because she didn't have any friends.
I loved
she's
when
like
she'd
this...
shown up for trick-or-treating. That was a good moment. I knew it was going to happen.
That was a great intro.
Yeah.
Or a great entrance for her to make.
Definitely.
I just love that she was Mad Max in the beginning because of the name.
Right.
Yes.
Big Doug.
Yeah.
And then you got her step bro, Billy. Oh my god, utter douchebag. And okay, let's call it sociopath.
I like it because he seemed sociopathic at the beginning, but he has reason for his insanity. Like
sociopaths have reason.
Well, his father is insanely abusive, so.
Oh yeah.
So he's just doing what he's learned. So.
It's always better when there's a reason behind the stuff, and when you're watching something, because it just makes it easier to see.
Right.
My friend Jonathan, in real life, we've talked about the dads, and which is more, I guess you could say more abusive. He has an argument that he says Mike's dad is probably more neglectful.
My God,
because even Billy's dad kind of cares where he's at, I guess. But
yeah,
I mean, I don't know. There's two shitty dads in this show.
Right.
One's neglectful, one's real abusive. But it's kind of a fun thing to think about. His dad is Billy's dad. That is an insane piece of crap, though.
But it's like one of those tough guys that don't know how to show their emotions, and so they use anger instead.
Yeah. There's probably a lot of dads like that back then.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I felt sorry for Billy once he found out what was going on.
Yeah,
I'm so happy that he got shown up finally.
Yeah, definitely.
And I like that Steve got some in, and I also like that the only reason Steve lost the fight was because Billy hit him in the head with a plate.
Yeah, right.
Like, he was getting him. But then it's so poetic that Max got to.
Yes.
Max got to tell him how it is.
Max got the winning blow. Yeah.
I was gonna say something related to that. It'll come back to me, but Bob.
Do you want to save Bob for last, and do you want to say a couple things about Dr. Owens?
Oh, Dr. Owens, yeah.
Okay, sure.
Dr. Owens. I can't remember the actor's name, but
no,
a lot of sci-fi stuff.
Paul Reiser.
Alien.
Yeah.
Paul Reiser, man, from Mad About You, old school comedian.
Mad About You, sure.
He's
Dr. Owens. He had such a good job with that as a character.
Oh,
dude, I was impressed. Like, I mean, yeah, he's been an actor before, and he's an awesome comedian, but I did not expect him to be that good in a dramatic role.
Right.
Like, I haven't seen him in any drama before then, so.
You saw him in Aliens.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Where he played that really cool. He did the thing where you thought he was a good guy, and then he turned out he was a jerk.
Right. Okay.
Which is kind of the opposite.
The opposite.
Yeah. You weren't.
Yeah,
sure
that's exactly how
him.
Yeah, I was like, I can't trust this guy,
switcheroo.
and then he's actually a really awesome dude.
Yeah.
And the whole season kept surprising me because each step of the way I kept thinking like, oh, they're doing something nice now, but there's going to be another step.
Exactly, yeah.
And like every single time they proved me wrong, and I was like, wow, they're just on the good side right now. Like at this very moment, we can trust them basically.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm not even gonna lie. Like there was points, like you said, where you kept getting surprised. There was a couple points. I guess this will be our transition to Bob. But there was a couple points where I was even kind of thinking, oh, is Bob one of them? Is Bob like a bad guy? Maybe?
Literally every one of the new characters I thought that about. Like going back to Max and Billy, I was like, what's their deal? Like I haven't seen their parents yet, or is Billy like some sort of test subject or something? And then
that's the one I thought. I was like, are they test subjects or something? And that's why it's like you can't be friends with people.
And I think part of the reason too, they juxtapose the very first scene where we see number 8 with like the first scene in the town. We see Billy and Max. And so I think my first thought was like, and then they were so strange that was just where my mind went.
Well, and Billy, when he said about Lucas, he's like, there's some people that you just can't hang out with, and he's one of them. And I thought, oh, it's because like he's one of the kids.
He knows,
that knows something. And no, it just turns out Billy's racist apparently.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if he's racist or if he just.
I don't know if that was actually it. That crossed my mind a couple times.
like
Speaking of, I love that scene where they were dressed up as the Ghostbusters, and he's like, "You're supposed to be Watkins or whatever." He's like, "No, he's boring. He doesn't have any funny lines. He's not even a scientist." It's like,
yep.
Oh, that's great.
That's excellent.
So, all right. So we're
but
gonna...
yeah, every single character I was like that. I was wrong about. I was like, I can't trust him, but apparently I can.
Especially with Bob. We had a friend at our watch party, and she was convinced almost the whole way through, basically until the end, that he was going to be the shitty stepdad.
Well, especially that scene where he was like, "You just gotta face it," and tell him to step down. He was giving good advice. I thought he was like trying to trick him. Yeah. Oh,
like,
so
do you work for the Mind Flayer? That's what I thought when it happened. I was like, he works for him.
Yeah, I thought that was the revelation, and then no, it turns out he's actually just the greatest gift we've ever had.
That was done so well.
In television.
All right, so let's talk about this, Bob. Okay, so first off, they did it correctly by getting Sean Astin, who, I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's such a good casting.
One of, if not the best character in Lord of the Rings, if we're going to be honest, all right? Just say, or maybe not the best character, the hero.
Yeah, I mean, Samwise is probably my fave.
Yeah, he's my favorite of the Hobbits.
Well, he was in the Goonies too, wasn't he?
Oh yeah. That was a big part. That's a big part of why they cast him, actually, because he was part of the good.
It's like perfect, yeah, 80s, yeah.
And I'm not sure if I read this or if I heard about it in Beyond Stranger Things, but I guess his part wasn't even intended to be that big. Like maybe they were, they didn't even plan on fleshing him out or killing him or anything. It was just going to be kind of a minor thing.
In that episode, they kept saying it was an episode by episode. In every episode, they were like, "All right, we'll keep him another one," because you can't get rid of him.
He's one of those guys, yeah.
Not until the. And
Did you know that Bob started the AV Club?
I hate you. Oh my god, I hate you. I don't need these spiels right now, Brock. That was such a... I applaud that they made it such a sad part where they all just go back, it starts playing that really sad song, Joyce is just grieving, and the boys, like you can see Dustin kind of wiping his eyes and like they're grieving, and then Mike, my hero Mike, starts to talk about him. And I'm like, good. You guys need to... He saved your asses.
Saved everybody.
Well, he was... I'm sorry. He was the best.
Literally, they don't get out of there without him.
He was the guy who was not brave. He wasn't. He wasn't a brave guy.
No.
He wasn't a hero.
He was never popular.
Except he was a hero because... Yeah, he was unpopular. Except he was a hero because he wasn't brave, but he still did this because... He knew he had to do it to save them all.
He knew basic. Nobody else here knows basic.
Okay, just teach it to me. Really?
And I'll teach you French, German.
I love that. Snark just went up at that point.
He's
it's like, Hopper, I'm not having any of your shit right now.
I don't know. He's the perfect nerd revenge story. Like, you live a crappy high school career and then make it big and become a Radio Shack manager and get to date the hot chick from high school. And there you go.
I think it's almost perfect. I think perfect would have been him surviving to enjoy the fruits of his labor, but...
Watch, he's gonna survive somehow. He's gonna come back.
I like to think that when we die, we see him and Barb and the cat in heaven.
And the cat.
The cat. Especially the cat. And I'm forgetting the cafe guy. I don't know his name. Cafe guy.
Remember? Oh, from the first season?
From the first season. He's going to be there.
Right?
Oh, yeah, he'd be there.
That just made me sad. I was hoping to be like
such a good guy.
Full character, and it's like, no, we're going to kill him in less than an hour.
And then from Hop, we just get a quick, like, he was my friend. That's all.
Oh, man.
That's it.
It's probably, you've got to remember at that point, that's probably all Hop could muster for friends at that point.
Yeah, that's true. No doubt.
Just a broken character.
I hope we see more, even though the kids are going to high school, in theory, we shouldn't be seeing the science teacher, but I'm hoping we see more Mr. Clark.
I know. I'm hoping he gets like an upgrade to junior high.
Like, hey, I'm coming with you guys to high school.
It's gonna
Can
Mr.
they finally
Feeney it.
let him in? Can they? Oh my God! If it's Mr. Feeney, I'll lose my shit. In fact, that's what I'm not even playing. Here's the deal. Here's the deal. Hulu Plus just got Boy Meets World, and that's all I've been watching for the past like 4 years. So, because it was my favorite show growing up, and Mr. Feeney's the best. All right, let's not argue. Let's not argue. This.
I will never argue that.
Yeah.
Can we? But guys, can we do this? Like, let's say they get the guy who played Mr. Feeney. Let's say they get him to be a teacher. Is there any way, just one time, that you could somehow, because he won't be called Mr. Feeney, but is there any way we can somehow work in a Feeney call?
There would have to be. They would have to.
I mean,
like have.
Like, I just want just the guy who played Eric, whose name escapes me at this point, just come in and just all of a sudden is just like Feeney.
just
and just walks away.
Maybe
like,
another teacher at the high school is named that or something.
Good point. Yeah.
They say that.
It's the only way to do. It's magical.
Who's the other? There's Fred Savage, and then there's what's
well, Ben Savage is the
Ben
kid who plays
Savage.
Corey. Well, he's the guy who plays Corey, and
Yeah.
Fred Savage was from the Wonder Years, his older brother.
Fred Savage, the greatest actor of all time.
Fred Sandwich.
Randy Savage.
Randy.
Randy Savage. Are we gonna do it?
R.I.P.
Every episode.
brother.
Every episode from now on, just R.I.P. Randy Savage.
Everyday brother.
This
And we're always
podcast
gonna do a
is
Hulk Hogan
dedicated.
impression, apparently. It just hurts me.
Oh man. But yeah.
Wow.
Not only do we have new characters, but man, everybody, currently existing characters, everybody got more story dedicated to themselves this time. Instead of it being mostly about Mike and 11, the first season was pretty much Mike, 11, and then some Hopper, and then some Nancy Jonathan.
Yeah.
But man, everybody got their own stuff. Like Dustin got a lot, Lucas got a lot, Steve, my boy Steve.
I think this time they just they knew that they could take their time. They're looking at the bigger picture. It's not
I think they did that, and it was
all.
It was also clear that you've put together an all-star cast that can hold their own no matter what. So
Yeah.
just completely.
They can have their own scenes.
Does anybody else just love Steve so much more this season?
Steve's great. He's
I love that he went. Go ahead.
in his own words, he's not a great boyfriend, but the best babysitter.
And I love that he went from like the guy who wasn't getting a lot of parts, and I was kind of getting a little angry. I was like, "Come on, give me some Steve." Got his heart broken, and then what does he turn into? He turns into like the party leader.
The best
Who
big
would've
bro.
thought?
And
I
can
love
we
that
admit
scene
he
when-
is deadly with that bat?
That's awesome.
Like
No
in
doubt.
that scene where he's like dodging the Dimmet dogs, and
I know,
like,
that was
turns around
really
and just
impressive.
uppercuts that one in midair.
Takes some talent.
He's gonna die, and he didn't.
That scene when he wakes up, like beaten up,
In
and
the
he has little
car.
band-aids, on in the car, and he looks over, and Max is
Stop.
driving.
Dustin's like, "You did good, but you put up a good fight. You got your ass kicked, but you put up a good fight." And I want to yell at
Who's
Dustin
driving
and
this
be
car?
like, I want to yell at Dustin and say he was winning until
Until he-
shenanigans happened.
Yeah, until somebody threw a chair in the ring, distracted the
Pretty
refs.
much. That's pretty much the equivalent.
Before I forget, you guys, speaking of new characters, so Nancy and Jonathan had a romantic time in a facility of this dude.
Oh
Or
yeah,
not,
that guy.
He
Yeah.
drinks
Oh,
a
he
lot
was-
of Russian vodka.
He was
What
so
is that
great
guy?
too.
That
He
dude
was so great.
so much fun. We're probably never gonna see him again.
Just the,
It was amazing.
conspiracy theorist guy. We
I
needed
didn't think
one.
I was gonna like him until they went and visited him and
I love
some extended scenes.
my favorite scene with his is actually when he improvised, because I knew this from watching Beyond Stranger Things,
Mhm.
when Nancy and Jonathan had sex. And the next morning,
Yes.
when they're at the table and they're trying to avoid eye contact, and he's like, "So how was the pullout?" And Jonathan's like, "What?" which I busted up laughing, but that's not my favorite part, is when he was like, yeah, it was pretty good, and he goes, oh, I bet. And then he drops the egg off his fork that he's about to eat, and then just looks at them without missing a beat and goes, oops. And I lost it. And then I found out that that was not planned. He
That was
accidentally did that.
improvised?
And
Oh
that was
my
improvised. If
I
you
know,
watch
I
Nancy's
wondered
face
that.
right after that. Watch Nancy's face right after that. She looks to the side a little bit and grins, and then it cuts to like a new shot because they called cut right there, and they
Just
all just
busted
cracked
up.
up. Yeah.
I don't know how they did it, but that's magic.
I wondered that whenever I saw it. I was like, I wonder if he meant to do that. But
Oh, that was totally improv.
that was so awesome.
Gosh, great scene. Oh my gosh.
Oh man.
Oops.
Oops.
Oh, so so Nancy and Jonathan, so they're a thing now. Finally.
As far as romantic subplots go, I mean, I was waiting for it. I hoped it would happen. I didn't want it to keep being delayed. So
Yeah.
And I feel bad for Steve because he's my boy, but
sure. I think back
coming.
to season 1, and it's like he let his friends write "slut" or whatever on the movie theater.
he had a
It's
good
like,
redeeming. He had a good
He
redeeming
did. He
character.
definitely redeemed himself, but I think if it were like, if I knew Steve in real life, I don't think I'd be able to get over some of the shitty stuff he did in
Did it
season
make
1.
Did it make you more sad in season 2 when he basically told Nancy that he knew, and he was just all he said was, "It's okay."
Yeah, no, he was great in season 2.
Oh, you're walking
he's
away
one of my
like a
favorite
champ,
characters
bro.
still. Yeah, he's a good dude. He'll find somebody.
He's just gotta mature. He's
maturing, and it's
And that hair is real.
that is
hair
incredible.
So
Farrah
can we talk
Fawcett,
about
man.
we talk about Dustin's hair at the very end at the
We have to talk
That
about
looked
Dustin's hair at the very
good,
end.
like really
It
good.
good hair. Great hair.
Wow.
He's got his teeth.
I was
He's
wondering-
got the hair.
I was wondering if you want to talk about his hair or if you want to talk about how it just broke my heart there at the end when nobody wanted to dance with him.
Oh man.
Oh man, that whole scene was so
Made me
emotional.
proud that he kept trying though, till the end.
All I could do when I saw him sitting there, I was just like, I relate, buddy. I relate.
New respect for Nancy at the end though.
Right?
That was a good,
Well,
good way to step up.
Him watching Max dancing with
Oh man.
that was sad.
That was rough.
Lucas,
That was
yeah.
sad.
Yeah, Lucas.
But at the same time, I'm happy for Lucas because
That's
yeah,
true.
they're perfect.
It made more sense. Yeah, definitely. And then, we got to see the... So, I mean, before we even get to this, whenever Mike and Elle are finally reunited before the dance, whenever she comes in and kills all the Demodogs, and we see her step into the room.
Yeah.
badass entrance.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
Wow. But then again, at the very
Amazing.
end with the dance. Yeah.
Oh, see, I love that because that's the two worlds of Elle. Basically, is she walks in all badass after she killed some Demodogs and is like, "I'm here to save you," and walks in like Luke Skywalker, "I'm here to rescue you,"
Yeah.
and then at the
all
dance.
super pretty and awesome.
Also, did you like?
Here to
I think it's
destroy.
definitely meant to be. It's definitely meant to be contrasting because both times it was Mike watching her come in
Right,
and then
right.
both
Right.
coming together. So
Yeah. It's good stuff.
Wow.
It's good storytelling.
very, very good storytelling.
So much heart.
It's just full of heart. Like,
That's what it is.
I'm wondering though, like, I mean, we can get into the lore of this, like, what the F is the end goal for the Mind Flayer?
so that's actually what I thought that'd be a good way to like kind of close out this whole discussion is
Sure.
why don't we talk about, so what are we thinking because we're going to get season 3, I think, in a year and a half.
Probably.
Because that's
Yeah.
is that about what season 2 was? We waited about a year and a half.
Sure.
Maybe like a
I mean,
year.
it was a year and a half.
It'll be-
maybe a
Really?
little longer because
Oh.
it was June of.
Oh, that's right.
It wasn't. Yeah, it was in June.
So it'll be about a year and a half. So
Something like that.
what do you guys think? Season 3. What do we
mean,
got? I already know who I think is the big bad, and I already posted it. And I'm probably wrong, but it's kind of what I want. And as far as D&D goes, I feel like it'd be a good progression.
Yeah,
But,
I'm like, let's pull on our D&D lore and what do you think?
I, so
Go ahead.
I'm just gonna say I mean, obviously we're going to see more of the Mind Flayer. I have a feeling, though, that, yeah, it's going to be a different villain for Season 3. I think Mind Flayer may get pushed back.
Or do you think it's
already
going to be...
about...
Is it going to be like someone who works for the Mind Flayer, and they're going to save him for like the final of Season 4 or 5?
Possibly. I just know they've talked about how the next season will involve time travel of some sort. And additionally, I think they're kind of pushing the Mind Flayer off till they have a big enough budget to do an enormous, crazy battle. I feel like.
Well, yeah, I think that's a thing. I think he's probably gonna be the main big bad for the show, probably.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But I may be completely wrong. They may deal with it entirely in the first episode of the next season. It's all pretty unpredictable.
I doubt that. I think you're probably correct. So what do you? What do you think's gonna? Do you have any theories on what you think's gonna happen?
Obviously, people have a ton of theories about just who he could possess next, which I like that idea too, especially if he were to get his hands on somebody who wasn't sympathetic or attached to, or at least not as much as Will, because we have. I mean, obviously, what if he were to get his hands on Papa, who we found out is still alive out there somewhere? Yep. That dude has a lot of power. He's pretty evil. That'd be a pretty terrifying way to take the Mind Flayer. But then, I mean, we have just other characters from the show. It could be somebody totally different, or I mean, he may not even go that route. He may just as soon as another rip in time opens up, he may just go out himself. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think that.
Yeah, what's
Josh,
your theory? No, what's your theory?
You want my theories?
Yeah.
I think when the Mind Flayer does do his thing, I think the one he's gonna go for is 11, because if you notice, they were face to face when she was closing that breach.
Yeah.
Sure.
And he's seen what she can do, and can you honestly think of anything more terrifying power-wise than if the Mind Flayer took over 11, with her power growing so much already?
I definitely think that would be a good way to go.
The Dark Mage.
To argue against that, though, maybe her mind is too strong for him to take over.
Well,
if anybody's strong enough to fight him off, it would be
he did try to attack her, and she was able to overcome her.
What about 8? The one that already has some sociopathic tendencies.
Should be willing, probably.
That would be terrifying.
And then you have this Mind Flayer that can just project images and stuff that it wants.
Illusionist.
But as far as who I think some of the big bads are going to be, who I'd want, because I honestly don't know where they could go from here with the Mind Flayer. But I think if they're wanting to keep in with D&D and the way they're kind of going, because the first was the Demogorgon, but it wasn't actually the D&D Demogorgon. If it had been the D&D Demogorgon, the world would have been
a little different.
The Mind Flayer, they got pretty close. It was a little big, but that's pretty much what an Illithid, a Mind Flayer, does. It's a collective consciousness. So if they want to keep going down this kind of dark underground route, I'm hoping... I'm just like, maybe we could see, instead of one creature, maybe we see a more intelligent kind of creatures from the Upside Down. Drow. Dark elves.
Sure.
Dark elves, maybe more intelligent, maybe they're because what have they done in the first 2 seasons? They fought monsters. And on the side was these scientists that are meddling and stuff. Well, what if in season 3, some more intelligent beings from the Upside Down that work for the Mind Flayer, call them Drow? They don't have to be Drow, but that's what the kids name them. They're they're Drow. How cool would that be?
Yeah, I'm
this organization infiltrating.
Well, they call it the Veil of Shadows, right?
They called it that in the beginning, and then they
now it's the Upside Down.
The Upside Down kind of stuck, yeah.
If it goes along those lines, you have a guy. What was his name? The wolf guy, the barbarian king. Kreselak, something like that. Anyways, that's the guy who's opened the Veil of Shadows, if I remember correctly. So
in the Forgotten Realms lore.
Yeah. So this guy who's obsessed with living forever, he can't he realizes he's going to die, and so he does everything that he can to overcome death, and maybe some sort of lich type of character that's just obsessed with it.
That's what I was thinking. That would be cool. Yeah, that's a good idea. Like a lich character, because
an interesting idea.
I think it's time some dead started to rise in Stranger Things.
Yes. And,
oh gosh,
that would be pretty awesome.
Freaky idea.
Oh god, what if it's Bob? Bob's the lich.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I was alluding to. He's going to come back.
Gosh.
He's going to be a brainless zombie in the dead underworld army that this Kresilak guy brings back. He's going to figure out how to end death, but it's going to be like the typical lich, like rotting, not really alive type of everlasting life. Yeah.
I would love to see just Dustin's, whenever he was explaining, like, you can only kill the Mind Flayer with an undead army. I'd love to see that end up happening. You know, a few seasons from now, like, that's actually how they end up defeating him, is with the super.
That would be so great.
Then Bob comes back and he leads the army. Yes.
Bob is the leader of the undead army, and he's like, fight!
Fantastic.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
He gives up. Or Bob comes back and he's like undead, and he's gonna save one of them again.
Yeah.
For some reason, we don't know why, but he's just like, I can carry you.
You don't know zombie basic?
Zombie basic.
So that's what. So Josh, that's your theory. You think it'd probably be like a kind of an intelligent lich character?
Yes, I think that would be awesome.
I think that'd be cool. I think all three of these are not out of the realm of possibility. I think they're pretty. They're pretty good. Do you guys have any last comments before we wrap this up on Stranger Things 2? Before we do our
viewer question.
We got a reader question. We have a reader question from
listener
before
question?
we do these. You guys got anything last words for Stranger Things?
It's good. I give it a.
That is Josh, and he is a teacher.
I give it a 7 out of 3.
And that is what.
Give it a 7 out of 7.
7 out of 5. All right.
Wow.
Perfect score. 5 out of 7.
Wowzers.
Perfect score.
You guys should look up that meme, that Facebook thing, where that guy just tortures that one guy over comments.
Yes.
I think you might know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Yes.
Just a dumb.
So
This was a perfect day. So 5 out of 7? Shut off.
Leave me alone.
So we got one reader question that's focused on Stranger Things. It's from Adam Choate. I got that right last time?
You got it.
Adam Choate. Thank you, Adam. Adam Choate asks, will Billy and Steve get together next season? The testosterone levels in the shower and fight scenes were insane. I think this is something we got to answer because this is interesting.
I think it's going to be Steve and Jonathan, and not.
No, really?
Yeah,
really?
Definitely, 1,000%.
I mean, did you miss?
Well, Billy, did he make
the Billy Steve shower scene? Did you miss that?
There was a lot of tension there.
Well, but he's just a little. I don't know if I'd call it tension.
Well, Billy, did he make a move on any girl? Like the entire time he was there?
You mean besides Mike's mom?
Well, he was doing that for a purpose, like to get information.
Who, by the way, kind of my new crush, a little bit.
Yeah.
Thanks,
the older you get, man.
Apparently. Come on. I
mean, he was doing that he wasn't doing it to get with her. He was doing it for information.
Well, yeah, obviously. What are you saying? He would turn her down?
Yeah, because he's gay.
I don't think he's
say it was gay.
I think he's literally attracted to himself.
We're talking maybe bi.
It's like he's like narcissist.
Yeah, there's plenty of, like, he was just staring at the mirror forever. He's just real into his own abs. His abs are a character, though, as we discussed.
Well, I mean, wouldn't you really be into his abs too? Yeah. I mean, you saw him
touching my abs and touching myself at the same time.
Put the phone down the pants a little bit.
Weird. Yeah, I think that's the new revelation next season. Tune in.
Weird in the shower. Yeah.
So that's Billy and Steve. That's next season.
Yeah, it'll be like that scene in Remember the Titans where he like kisses him just to mess with him.
Mess with him. I feel like he would.
I definitely feel like they would.
But he seems like he was super helpful. Like, even though he was being an a-hole the entire time, Like, he was giving him pointers in basketball and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
To be fair, he could have been doing that because he doesn't seem unintelligent. I feel like he was doing that to get at him a little bit more. Just be like, hey, I'm going to offer you this kind of this condescending help because I'm better than you.
Yeah.
Like athletes sometimes do. Yeah, I could see that. Okay.
Well, so yeah, tune in, Adam, tune in next season. Billy and Steve probably do, get together. Maybe some Jonathan sprinkled in there. I'd watch that.
That's the consensus. Yeah, that's going to be the whole show.
3 just turns into like True Blood.
They just let one of the fanfic writers just do the whole thing.
All the things.
Oh man.
Well, we hope you guys have enjoyed our first episode from the In-Between on Stranger Things 2. Again, remember, we have a website where you can catch all of our great episodes at thenerdcult.libsyn.com. Catch us on iTunes. Give us a rating on iTunes. If you like us, please do it. It'll help us out a lot. How can you say no to that voice?
Makes me really uncomfortable.
Makes Barack uncomfortable. So,
Barack Obama?
If you guys give us a rating, Josh will continue to make Brock uncomfortable.
That's what
Guarantee.
That's what I want, oddly enough.
Also, you can find us on Google Play. We have Facebook and Tumblr, The Nerd Cult. Find us on Twitter at Nerd Cult Podcast. Email us, nerdcultpodcast@gmail.com. Email us your nerdy inquiries. They can be humorous. They can be serious. We'll try and answer them. Also, my name, again, Tyler Lee. You can find me on Twitter at _TylerRLee_. I've published a book. It's called An Unlikely Company. It's a fantasy action-adventure novel. Find that on Amazon. Give it a rating.
Rate it, boy.
I care more about it than I'm making it sound right now. I'm just trying not to sound egotistical about it. I would love it if you'd read it and give it a rating.
Yourself.
Trying to. Well, I have an outlet, so why not?
Yeah. Why not?
And that's me.
Brock and I are working on a project, 50 Sonnets, 50weeks.com. And I forgot to say this last episode, but it's 50 weeks, 50 sonnets. 50 sonnets, 50 weeks.com. And it's a project where I'm going to be writing one sonnet per week in the old English style. Shakespeare, Spencer, things like that. Then eventually I'll probably add my own style of sonnet, but along with it, Brock, you are going to be doing...
I'm going to be adding photos, so for each theme that Josh has with his sonnets, I'm going to be adding a similarly themed photo, which many of them may not make sense immediately, because that's how I work, but that's
just fine.
Also how art works, so... Yeah. Get over it, you punks, and visit our website.
You punks.
Also,
if you don't get it,
then
you're not.
iTunes.
You don't get it.
You don't get it.
If you don't get it, then you don't get it.
Why would you be looking at it if you weren't interested?
Yeah. Art isn't for the feeble-minded.
This is how we plug stuff.
Just preemptively,
way better than
you can tell that Tyler's is just written down and just ready to go. You're just sort of like,
what? No. My individual stuff is not written down.
Ooh, he's just said it so many times to his friends and family that he has it memorized.
You think he's making fun of me, but that's not a lie. That's not a lie.
You can follow me on Twitter.
Brocculonatron. Yeah, I can't do it. How does he do it so smoothly?
Yeah.
Probably because my name's not Tyler the Lonatron. So that's probably how I.
Yours has underscores. That's not smooth to say.
I don't understand how you think Lonatron is easier. Is the same as underscore.
Megatron does
it's just one word. It's literally an English language word
that you made up.
That you made up on the spot.
It's gonna be a big deal.
Shakespeare did it.
Shakespeare did it.
You can see. I'm pretty sure you can see his Twitter on our website if you can't figure out how to spell it.
Yeah.
Or if not, Brock, you really should go put it on the website.
It has been on the website. That's where it belongs.
Cool.
Yeah,
has
very
been.
white.
It is.
Binstative.
And then Josh has one as easy like mine.
At Josh D. Forster. And I'll be putting updates anytime that we update the website, and so you can keep up that way too.
I wish just my name and initials had been available, so it didn't have to be.
That would be nice.
I had to underscore.
Awesome
I had to underscore mine, so.
Yeah, I don't like underscores.
I got lucky.
Kind of sacrilege. Yeah.
Sacrilege.
Okay.
So screw your name, Tyler.
Yeah, apparently.
Thank you for listening to our podcast.
Screw my name, apparently. Well,
screw my name on Twitter.
Yeah. On that note, thank you guys. Thanks to all our listeners. Thanks for joining the cult. And remember, never don't bubble.
Never don't bubble.